You probably are since you're. Yep. Okay, they're recording. Uh, you're probably familiar with this page. I don't need to go into too much detail on this. Max is going to show you a whole bunch of cool stuff. A lot of it is basically one of the biggest things for me creating highly consistent AI actors, and he'll talk more about that later. There's so many ways with AI Studio that you can create AI consistency. You can replace things. You can kind of just fully customize almost every element of your production and make it realistic, swap all kinds of things, turning voice into real performance. And again, Max will go through all this stuff in a bit here. If you haven't had a chance yet, please browse the whole page. It's some amazing stuff. And for the first time in I think we're 25 now, Reillusion. How long has John been with the company? That's about how long old Reillusion is. That's
We're
25 years.
we're going on 25 years.
Yeah, almost 25 years. So a
Yes,
quarter
sir.
of a century is how long we've been doing this, providing all these software solutions for you guys. And for the first time in 25 years, we now have a completely free version of iClone called iClone Personal. And at the top of the AI Studio page, you can click here where it says iClone Personal, and it'll tell you all about the things here. Now, the only real restriction to this is that you're only allowed 30 3D exports. So the purpose of this personal free, like unlimited free version of iClone is that so people who want to learn it, they don't have a time limit to learn it. I know a lot of people have busy lives and they want to come back to it, but oh, my 30-day trial is gone. Dang it. Okay, let's I guess we can't do that anymore. So we've basically offered a number of different options for you here with iClone Personal. Again, this is completely free. Basically everything. If you're new to iClone or 3D animation, this is where you want to start your workflow. Once you learn kind of how to use iClone and the synergy between AI and 3D, that'll give you a personal starting point, completely free again. And of course, you just need an account to activate it. You need to log in on your account. And for those of you who don't have a whole bunch of money up front, but you need to produce stuff right away, we have the subscription model, so monthly subscription model. You can check all of this stuff on the software store. And yeah, no upfront, very low upfront cost for this, a subscription model. And of course, there's the traditional perpetual model. We want to keep that around for people who, don't like subscription models. I'm not a huge fan of them myself for a lot of things, but unfortunately, you can't really get away from it for the most part these days, except for with Reillusion. We still offer perpetual licenses for everything, completely free updates for the version. We launch a new version every 3 4 years. So that's when you need to, get your special update price. But again, for those 3 4 years, you're pretty much good to go. No recurring fees, no worries about all that stuff. So, whatever option you prefer, we just offer all these different customized options for you. You really have no reason not to. We're just trying to make it easy for everyone. All right, so you can learn more about this. I'll throw this, well, you can just go to the iClone download page, but I'll put this in the chat for everyone anyways if you want to just browse it while we're moving along. And for those of you who are soccer fans, US is down 2-1 at halftime to Belgium right now. I got the live ticker on my phone here. I won't be giving you updates during the webinar though. Don't worry. We'll focus on AI production. So this is the overview of what we're going to be talking about today, and Max will go into more detail on this. Again, he's got some really cool projects, Sidewalk Syndicate. This is sort of like a kid's cartoon type thing, and then Coyote Crunch is more of a commercial driven project. Really cool stuff. You can browse this on your own time here. In addition, next week, July, is that next week? Yeah, next week, July 15th. I hope it's next week. Um, I'm losing track of my days here. We're going to have senior technical artist Howard Huang along with us, straight out of Taiwan. He's one of the main developers of AI Studio, and he'll be able to answer a ton of technical questions for you here. We're going to be talking about the best kind of workflow, going from start to finish. And this is going to be right before SIGGRAPH, where we're also going to be at SIGGRAPH at the HP booth. If you want to visit us at SIGGRAPH, we're going to be at HP booth for the entire duration of the convention there. I'll also be doing a couple of talks. One of them is going to be at CenterGrid, which is a remote workstation a company that's amazing. Make sure you check that out. That'll be on centergrid.com. I think it's June. No, sorry, June. July 21st, 1 p.m. in the afternoon. If you want to get more details on that, I can always provide more later. All right, that's if you want. If you don't have a good workstation yourself, you want to use remote, super powered stations to do all your rendering. We're going to be demoing how to do that with AI Studio as well as our new RTX render. Okay, so we're going to be giving you a sneak peek of iClone's new RTX render, which is primo, I gotta say. Right, so the lots of stuff to look forward to. That's really all the promotional stuff I have to go through. So I'm going to quit sharing, and I will hand the reins over to James and Mark, or Max, rather. Marky Mark, Maxi Max. All right.
And Maxi Max and the Funky Bunch for sure, bro. But I have to give a quick shout out, my boy Ricky D. What's up in the house? It's so awesome to see everybody. Um, I'm not going to be talking to you too much tonight because I got to give my hats off to my colleague Max Thomas, who is absolutely going to blow your mind with a couple of the projects. But I will be around for the Q&A, so stick around for that. I am Professor of Practice James Martin, and also the CEO of Actor Capture. Check us out at www.actorcapture.com for more cool projects. And I'm, without further ado, going to let Max take it away.
All
Go
right,
get him, Tiger.
is my audio live now? You guys got my audio?
Yep.
Can you hear me?
Yep. We can see your screen. We
Okay,
can hear you,
cool,
and everything's
cool.
fine.
Awesome. Just wanted to check and make sure before we dove in here. All right, guys. So today I'm going to take you through two projects that I've kind of been working on with AI Studio. I've had a lot of fun playing with multi-character workflows, playing with live action and CG characters mixed together to try to like mix it, actually create fake branded content and build entire commercials around it. And then also I kind of built like a short piece called Sidewalk Syndicate, which was really one of my first tests of actually using multiple characters at one time. And I wanted something that kind of had like a Little Rascals, kind of Dennis the Menace, Good Boys kind of vibe to it. You know, just kind of good fun around like neighborhood kids and the things they do in their everyday lives, and just like trying to see what I could do to really keep the characters consistent. And this entire piece is actually put together with Nano Banana and Cling. I actually didn't have Dance yet when I first created this, but it was something like one of the first pieces that I really put together where I could, you know, quickly see my story coming together to build something that was like a little bit more complex, and doing some kind of more complex animation work, like riding bicycles and skateboarding and stuff like that. That was just, you know, maybe not quite so easy to do 6 months ago. So I'm actually going to pull the video up straight on my desktop instead of playing it from Google.
Sidewalk Syndicate!
All right, this fort has to be secure. Like, no one gets in.
What about the girls?
No, definitely not the girls. No parents. No girls.
What about my mom?
No!
Welcome to the hardware store.
Yo, this place is huge. How do you even find anything in here?
We might be in here forever. Just act like you know what you're doing.
All right, I think we got everything. Yeah, this is solid. We got wood, nails, ladder, supports.
Extra supports.
Yeah, that's important. We thought of everything.
Sidewalk Syndicate! We're getting a tree house.
Man, I'm tired. I'm thirsty.
We haven't even started yet. You already need a break? I said I'm thirsty.
Hold on. Does anyone have $3.25 I can borrow?
Wait, you guys got money, right? I thought you had money.
Why would I have money? This was your plan.
No, we all agreed on the list. That includes money. Well, I brought the list.
Yeah, congrats. We pay with the list, genius. What if we just ask somebody's dad? Not mine. My dad's still mad about the window. My dad's gonna ask questions like, why do you need a ladder in a tree?
Wait, what about your brother? Didn't he make like a ton of money?
Yeah, selling vape pens. We could do that. He went to jail. Okay, yeah, let's not do that. All right, how do we make money legally?
Yo, hold up.
What? Look at that.
That's perfect. You could build the whole thing right there. Ladder right here, platform up there. Yeah, that's it.
This is it. Yeah, this is a good tree. We could build it like right there. No, higher, like up there so nobody can mess with it.
Yeah.
We're actually gonna do this.
We are. Whatever it takes.
All right, no matter what, we build it.
All right, let me exit out of that real quick. And go back to my slides here. All right, so now I want to take you guys through and talk a little bit about behind the scenes, about kind of how I made Sidewalk Syndicate, how I got into it, and really just kind of how AI actors and the AI models really empowered my entire production process and just made it really quick for me to make an entire story with consistent backgrounds, kind of consistent story, and just taking them through like the world as I introduced the characters. So when I first started thinking about it, I didn't really dive in with like traditional script or traditional storyboard or anything like that. I just wanted to come up with kind of 4 personas kind of behind my characters and give them all their kind of own individual identities and really allow them to play their individual role in each story that I decided to tell. So I think that's something that's very easy and fun to do inside of AI Studio. You can think about your characters as like playing cards, or, I also was just having fun, like mocking it up like they were, shot with a little Polaroid camera. One of my neighbors had just got one of those like super new cool Polaroid cameras with the dock, so you can just print out images like crazy. So I was like, oh, that would be really fun to take AI characters and render them kind of in that Polaroid style, like it was just kind of mocked up as if they were designing their own show. I wanted something that kind of had like a 90s vibe, like throwback to like kind of a lot of the shows that I enjoyed as a kid, like Malcolm in the Middle and things like that. And really the thing that empowers this entire setup is the character workflow. So the actor profiles, you can load up to 4 of these, whether you're using GPT image or whether you're using Nano Banana. Flux actually doesn't really allow you to work with the kids right now, even though they're CG characters. It kind of tends to block the kids, and it doesn't let me really like work with Flux Max for this. So I was particularly limited to Nano Banana at the time, but since then have done some image tests with GPT Image 2, which does a great job as well. So your actor profiles that you're going to load up, whenever I hop into iClone, I'll show you a little bit of this too, but that's going to automatically create your appearance prompts. So if you design your own eye models from your own 3D characters, you're going to have to actually create these appearance prompts in that creation process for those eye models and for those AI actors. But in this particular case, we're just utilizing the over 200 characters that are already available inside of iClone to be able to tell kind of a dynamic story. In this case, I didn't actually want to change their clothes. I wanted them to actually like run with their actual wardrobe so I could kind of keep it consistent. And like I said, at the time, this was the first time I had really tried to do something with 4 characters that were involved in like a lot of high action and also involved in, dialogue driven scenes between all 4 characters. I'm not saying I haven't tested things like that before. I totally had, like even back in the day where it was like extremely hard and you would get like faces warping while they were talking, and you still get a little bit of that occasionally with Kling on really complex asks. Like that bicycle shot where all 4 of them are having a dialogue while riding the bikes is at a pretty far, it's not a close-up shot. So it's the composition alone makes it difficult with the pixel ratio that you have. So I think, you're going to still lose things occasionally, but I was really pleased with the results that I was able to get through doing that. So one of the key things that's super strong about using AI Studio is that you can take your 4 characters and instantly plop them in any variety of different scenes that you may be thinking of, like at any point in time. Like whenever I was generating this, I actually like had it mock up some initial ideas for me that were low quality, and then also generate the prompts so I could go back and actually replace those images and upres them and take things kind of to the next level. And these were just kind of explorations outside of episode 1 of different types of stories, things that I thought I might want to do. Like I wanted to kind of have an homage scene to the Little Rascals where they're like fishing and they've caught each other under the dock and they end up like pulling each other back and forth. That's one of the shots I definitely want to play with. Like Dead Man's Pass where they're doing like a bicycle race against some bullies down a hill. And it actually didn't like me doing the shot at first. It kind of fought me on Dead Man's Pass because it thought I was trying to, like, I guess make some kind of crazy action scene with them. But really, it was just like a bicycle race. And once I explained it that's something I'm going to talk about in this process, is that I like to use a lot of utility prompts whenever things don't exactly work the way I want. So I informed it in the prompt that these are CG characters, and that it's, Dead Man's Pass is just a bicycle race. And so that actually allowed me to, for it to understand and allow me to get kind of past those bypasses that it was initially trying to block me out on. So, just another scene of them like in a tent fort playing board games, capture the flag. I think that would be a really fun episode to run with. I had like a kissing booth where they show up at the kissing booth and then they're all nervous and kind of end up being shy. And then a roller coaster scene where they're all like riding just a roller coaster in an amusement park. So just some really fun stuff. And so aside from different scenes and environments, you can also really get in the weeds and push your camera angles and get a lot of really, really crazy stuff. So like I like to use drone establishing shot. I think that's really fun. When I was thinking about shooting this, I wanted to like kind of think about how the kids could shoot it themselves. Like that was something when I first got into filmmaking. Like I would strap the camera to like a bicycle or a car or literally anything, a moped that I could get a hold of, to try to get dynamic shots beyond just like putting it on a tripod or walking around with a shaky camera. Although sometimes you do want a nice shaky shot because it gives life and character. And I think that's something that you really have right inside of AI Studio. And you can easily keep the same scene by moving from, just your initial image creation over to image edit, and then referencing your first initial image to create your secondary shots. And I think that's really where you get the power in it, is adding your AI actors into image edit and being able to push things to that next level to get, a really dynamic shot selection that still looks and feels like you're in the same location.
James Gunn only asked you to do crazy cameras one time, right, Max?
Yeah, almost every day, new camera request,
A little bit
crash
easier
zoom
to pull
features and things like that. But so I didn't really have a storyboard. Like I'll be straight up honest with you. Like I made this specifically for the presentation and to show you that if you wanted to work from a storyboard, you totally can, and you can go back and hit those shots pretty close to what you want. In this case, I took a few liberties, but this just kind of shows you, that you can create a professional workflow and be able to follow that with AI Studio and execute your shots to a high level of degree. So these were my first and last frame renders that I used to basically drive forward those shots from the hardware sequence. So I did take a few liberties here. Like I used this as a first frame, last frame sequence because I wanted to do something. I had been watching like a lot of Better Call Saul at the time, and I wanted something that kind of had that feel to the camera movement and the lighting as it like introduced the store, like almost as if like you could feel the lens breathe and kind of made the store like feel bigger than life. And I think it was able to really kind of give me that effect and still, maintain that transition where I start with the boys entirely off screen, except for, their feet, and then the camera pans up to them. So that was something that was really fun. I also enjoyed like playing with the initial shot, and like very rarely do I get these shots on the first time. Like I know like you guys are like, oh, I love the video, let's get to the video. But to be honest, in terms of my workflow, the image is quintessential to everything. Like the image drives the success of the entire creation of the piece. If you don't get that image correct before you render the video, then it's really just a waste of time. So I want to kind of, talk through like my process, both with Sidewalk Syndicate and with Coyote Crunch, where I can show you maybe a few ideas of how you can help build that, not necessarily that first shot that you love, but that second shot that you need, and maybe even that third and fourth to allow that sequence to feel like something that flows. So in this case, once I've created my first image and I've established what I want my characters to look like and what I want that environment to look like, almost every single time I'm going to use the image edit tool after that. And when we get to the live demo, I'll show you really exactly how I do that. I wanted to finish that sequence out with some close-ups. This was actually a really hard shot to get with them like pushing the cart and pulling it as a group down the aisle. That was something that took me maybe like 7 or 8 attempts to get it to where it was really like a believable shot that I could take to video. And the whole fun in this piece is that, you know, they're all excited, they're ready to build their treehouse, they get all their wood, and then they find out that they don't have any money. So it's going to lead to some summer jobs. So I want to take you guys through and show you a little bit of a live demo real quick, and then we'll come back in for Coyote Crunch. Let me see what time it is right now. Okay, we're doing great on time. All right, we're going to be just fine. So let me pull up iClone, and I'll actually start in my 3D scene here. So for this particular example, I decided to basically just use some of the assets inside of AI Studio over here. And I wanted to go in and grab some motions from the communication pack, or actually, sorry, it's the daily life pose pack is what I used for this one, I believe. Either that or it was occupation. But I just wanted it to create a scene where it would feel like the 4 boys were like huddled around something, like they had discovered, you know, some hidden treasure or something that was going to lead them on a mystery. I mostly created this because I wanted to show you how well it would work with the 3D process. So if you want to, you can totally define exactly how your characters are going to stand and how they're going to sit inside of your scene. And so to save you a little bit of time, I'll go through this process here and show you exactly how I would do this. Let me actually just delete everything out really quick, and I'll set one up from scratch and just empty it out. So first thing I would do is I would come in and I would actually define which image generation tool I was going to use. And like I said, since it's kids, you can't really use Flux Max 2 on this, or Flux 2 Max on this. So you have to use Nano Banana Pro. So I'm going to lock in Nano Banana Pro, and I'm going to choose my image resolution. I'm choosing the highest one because I plan on rendering the video with like Seedance now that I can do that. And the first thing I want to do is just capture that image from the viewport. And that's just going to pull that in so that I have access to that exact pose that I want. The next step that I need to do is I need to actually add my actor profile so that I can associate it with my shot. And so I'm going to come in, and by default, you'll be looking at all 200 plus actors that you have. You can sort it by categories. That helps you get to things a little bit quicker. In this case, I'm working with kids. So I'm going to go in and I'm going to lock in Mason, and I'm going to lock in Liam, and then I'm going to lock in Nolan and Oliver. And so I've got each one of my characters there, and they're also going to come with those appearance prompts baked into them. So that makes it incredibly easy to utilize them when you're calling them inside of your prompt. So now I need to actually assign my actors. So I'm going to click Assign Actors. And I know this is a little bit small probably here for you guys to see. Can't quite really make it bigger, any bigger than that right now, but I'll show you. I'm going to take Actor 2, line it up with kind of his head and face area, just kind of block him about shoulder deep there. Let's get our Actor 1 in place. So this will be Mason. This will be Liam because he's Actor 2. And Actor 3 is going to be Nolan. So we'll assign him as the one that's like bending over, checking out the discovery. And then Actor 4 is going to be Oliver. And you just want to kind of block them out and go in and assign it because you have multiple characters. And if you don't, it'll have to kind of guess which one is going to be which. It's not that you might not get a result. It just might not be the exact result you expect. So for this one, I wanted to basically just create a prompt that was kind of like at nighttime and spooky. And so I've already kind of created a prompt to drop in here. I'll just make this a little bit bigger, talk about that for a second, because I do inject some utility prompts in here anyways. So feel free to space any of the stuff out as you want. I like to leave the names at the front. You don't have to. And because I am loading this from a 3D scene, I do tell it, like, use the uploaded 3D scene as the exact pose, staging, camera blocking reference. Like, that might be unnecessary, but I find that I typically get better results. I also will go through and describe who the characters are just in a quick little micro kind of prompt that helps them keep their identity locked in. And it's still going to mess up every now and then. Like, out of these 4 characters, Liam messes up the most. Like, his identity will shift a little bit from time to time, and I'll have to go back and double check those images and try to make sure that Liam's identity hasn't shifted any on me. And so I just go through. The scene is basically just taking place in a quiet suburban neighborhood. The boys are gathered on a sidewalk under a flickering street light, surrounded by fallen bike scooters and chalk drawings. And they're just like hanging out over this mysterious object. And then I have one more kind of utility prompt section at the end that is just all about preserving the 3D pose and composition. And then also a few prompts injected in there to basically tell it not to make them cartoonish and to keep it grounded and, not like overly scary, but like spooky, kind of Scooby-Doo level of horror. And so the first time I tried to make this, so if we can make another generation, I'll just go on ahead and fire one off. So it's ready to go. We can make an image, but while it's making an image, I'll show you my results. I went on ahead and pre-baked them so you guys wouldn't have to wait on things this time. Oop, sorry, got a lot of results there. Okay, so whoop. So the first one I tried, I actually did it at like daytime. I hadn't prompted it and I hadn't modified the prompt to tell it to be at night. And that's all part of the process. Like I said, guys, this is all about iteration. It's about just getting your ideas out quickly and adapting them. I also think you can see some identity shift in a couple of the characters and their outfits here. Like, it's a pretty cool looking image, but it's just not what I was going for. So then I shifted the prompt more spooky, and this one was okay, but it didn't quite respect my initial pose guidance exactly like I wanted. So I had to add a little bit more to the prompt in terms of utility to make sure that it respected my prompt the way I wanted. The second one, it did a better job of respecting the prompt, but I didn't have this lower section where it was telling it not to keep it cartoonish. And so I ended up going back and kind of adding some extra things like that just to reinforce what I wanted. And, these guys are totally not the right characters. So something kind of messed up on that one, obviously. And then finally, my third attempt, I got exactly what I wanted. And this was the exact prompt I ran. I didn't change anything. The system locked in, and it gave me exactly what I needed out of Nano Banana to go forth and make a video. So in this particular case, I just used poses. These aren't actually like fully animated, but if you were fully animated, you could totally kick right over to the 3D to video tab, and you could actually render your animation clip right out of iClone, and that would drive your motion. In this particular case, I just fed it up to Cdance, and I went on ahead and gave it a first frame image here. And then I gave it a video prompt, which I'll talk a little bit about here in just a second. Let me get that plugged in. And so in this particular case, I wanted to create a 10-second video. And when you're using Cdance, I don't really think that's a bad thing to include how long you want the video to be in your prompt. Like, it seems like it's a simple thing, and it kind of breaks the fact that you're thinking about it creatively, but it understands whenever you instruct it, hey, we're making a 5-second video, or hey, we're making a 10-second video. Just that little bit of information can really help it. I also give the video the character's identity, like a minor prompt on that, so it understands. And if you're having problems with that, or let's say you have a shot where somebody's coming from off screen onto screen, that's where you can come back in and add your AI actors. And you might want to reinforce that by adding all 4 of your AI actors here as a reference if you don't have your characters already fully on screen whenever you decide to make your video. So I come in, I set my resolution, and then how long it's going to be. It's a 10-second video. I do want to generate it with audio. And then I'll launch it, and there it goes. And then I'll show you what I got for my result. And I only ran this one time. I didn't have to iterate on this really. I was actually pretty happy with the result.
Yo, is that thing actually glowing? I told you the sidewalk was weird. Guys, I think it's a map. Or a treasure map. Curse. Okay, nobody tells our mother.
So it did a pretty good job. I just let it auto-generate the script and everything. Like you can totally put your dialogue directly in your prompt in Cdance. I think that's super helpful. Even if you're including audio sample, like if you have your dialogue recorded with audio here, I still think it's a very good idea to include your dialogue in your prompt, because it'll help ensure that you get closer to what you want. Like every now and then it might mess up a word. Like that can happen. Like I'm not going to say it never happens, because it does. It happens to me right up here on Coyote Crunch. So like occasionally it will miss a word, but overall pretty cool, and you get some really nice results. So here was the second image, the one that we just made, and I think it looks pretty good as well. You can always drop that back in and let it generate a video too. But so that's going to sit there and process that, and we'll probably have a couple more copies of that when we get back over. But those are some of, like, really, I guess, some of the best tips I can give you in terms of, you know, when you're initially trying to work with multiple characters and you want to be able to get that next shot. So I'll wait until we get into, actually, we can go to image edit. Yeah, I'm going to wait until we get into Coyote Crunch, and I'll talk about that image edit workflow there so that we can really get in the weeds with that. See what time it is. Okay. All right. We're doing good. Let's go back over to the presentation. All right. So for the second feature of the night, I'm going to talk a little bit about Coyote Crunch. And this is really just about commercial workflow and working with a product that's something that AI doesn't understand, that it doesn't know what it is. Like, for example, Coyote Crunch never existed. So if I tell AI to make Coyote Crunch, it will make Coyote Crunch, but it doesn't mean that it's going to make it right. It's probably going to make slightly different variations of that every time, even if I give it the exact same prompt. So whenever you're working with a product like that, I think it's super important to initially get in there and just define what that prompt is. And in this case, I even just made it as a 3D asset in like Maya, so I could quickly bring it over and utilize it inside of iClone. But let me show you the commercial, and then we'll dive into the behind the scenes.
Okay.
Oh, there's no audio there. Let me see.
No, you had audio.
Yeah, we had audio on the webinar.
Yeah.
Oh, there we go. Oh, my headset just went off for some reason. I think it's because I'm using an auxiliary mic. Let me play that over for you. Sorry.
Okay. I get it. Coyote Crunch is actually really good.
Coyote Crunch is so good. It's crunchy, sweet, and my favorite breakfast ever.
I love Coyote Crunch cereal. So crunchy, so sweet. This bowl is mine. Come on, kid. Just one bite. That's Coyote Crunch.
No way. This is my Coyote Crunch.
Coyote Crunch. Kid tested, mother approved.
Awesome. So here's my little commercial. Dive back into my slideshow here. All right, so for this one, I just want to kind of talk about the process, because really a whole lot of iteration goes into keeping those shots consistent. And it's down to injecting the product, injecting the kitchen to make sure that it aligns. And then you can also use it while you're trying to make decisions in your creative process. Like, I made quite a few different versions of that Coyote, ones that were more like realistic looking CG, ones that were more 2D CG, and just like kind of played with the different results to see what I would get. And in fact, actually, for the live demo, I'm going to show you a couple different examples of that Coyote and how that kind of really greatly affects the way the commercial looks. So the first step that I went through was actually designing the product. And I did all of this right here in iClone as well in AI Studio. So I wanted to actually go in and define what this product was going to look like. And let me pull up AI Studio for just a second so I can actually go down to that and showcase it for you. Because I think it'll really tell a little bit more of a story about how much iteration goes into getting this kind of stuff over silly things sometimes. So my initial concept, this is just like I threw 2 prompts at the wall, one at Nano Banana and one at Flux, and had it kind of create some branding for Coyote Crunch and what it could look like on the cereal box. And so I got this box and I liked this design, so I kind of stuck with it. And then I was like, okay, well, I want to actually make the cereal box. And so I created one view of it and I was like, that's pretty awesome. I really like that. These were also just like 2 comparative versions. This one was Nano Banana and this one was Flux. And then I just kept kind of pushing that and to see what I could get. I got some weird shaped boxes out of it that were definitely not consistent with what I wanted. Then I decided, I was like, okay, well, I'm just going to make one in 3D and it won't matter anyways because I can just drive everything from the 3D model once I have the box textures. So I had it make a flat surface for the front of the box, and then I had it create the back of the box, or the rear texture for the box there for the back. And I played with a couple different versions that had like games and fake nutrition facts and stuff like that. And then every now and then I would get some weird stuff like this with this wolf that's definitely not my coyote that I wanted. I started trying to get 3/4 views of like the sides of the box. And that was actually surprisingly challenging at first to get what I wanted and to define that nutrition examples. And the way I did this was like actually by, probably just showing it some examples off of Google that I snipped. And, like I said, not everything I got out of this was great. It actually took me quite some time to get something that I was truly, truly happy with. And then all of a sudden I finally kind of cracked that algorithm to get it to give me what I wanted for the top and the bottom and everything like that. So once I had done that, I wanted to start trying to create like a 2D commercial. And my first results, like that I was driving from CG, I was not really getting what I wanted because I just wasn't prompting it correctly, and the way I was influencing it just wasn't really working very well. And so, like I said, it took me a while to define like what this world looks like and how they were going to interact. And I'm not really a 2D animator. The majority of the things I do are much more like photorealistic and VFX in nature. So it was a fun, really fun project for me to do something that was just like not really in my style or wheelhouse in any way. And so I actually used Meshy to generate some of these environments and brought them into iClone and just had it start trying to like modify that and create like a river of milk flowing through these mountains. And I played with that for like quite some time unsuccessfully. It like got rid of the sky and did a bunch of weird stuff. But it was like me learning how to work with the tool. And so like now I can just pretty much get it to give me about whatever I want on within 2 or 3 tries. But when I first got into this tool, I had like a learning process, I had to learn how to work with the AI and work with 3D elements and how they could, inform my final creation or not inform it. Like sometimes it would totally ignore it and I would just get some crazy results from time to time. But eventually, after a lot of tests, I finally got something that I was happy with, and I was able to define what I wanted, kind of my little coyote guy to look like, which was this just kind of fun coyote. And so then I decided, hey, let's get back into like casting this thing. I wanted to cast it now that I had defined the product and kind of that I had this 90s serial style that I wanted to make. So I used 2 new actor profiles. This time I cast Bella as the lead kid talent and Naomi as her mom. That would be like the supportive mother feature that would be like, oh, Coyote Crunch is great because my kid loves to eat it. And it's not just a bowl full of sugar with a coyote on it. So it was very easy for me to just hop into the tool and cast Bella and Naomi to be able to generate what I wanted. And so whenever I was trying to get this initial look, I literally went through so many different passes. And I'm going to switch back to iClone just so I can show you the higher quality renders here of what I actually had going on. So let me see. It might be above the video. Yeah, they're above the videos. Okay, so I think this really tells the story. So this was my first one that I created of Bella. And I used just create and an actor profile. And so my initial method, because we didn't quite have iModels where you could inject them straight in edit mode now, like you can now. But at the time, I was, trying to get what I wanted here and create, and then move over to edit, and then reference the image to fix it by applying like the cereal box image of what the product looks like. And it doesn't have to be cereal. That's like your product that you're trying to advertise. If it doesn't know what it is, you need to show it what it is in the best way that you possibly can, whether you're having to, create enough images to define what that concept product is, or whether you have like early 3D renderings or anything like that. So I thought Bella was already looking pretty awesome as a character. I thought she really fit the story with the Coyote Crunch, but I knew the cereal wasn't working. It didn't match what we were going for. And so then I was like, oh, the kitchen feels like too sterile. Let's make something that feels like a little more colorful, a little bit more friendly. And so that's where I locked in this image, and I was like, okay, I love this, but I need to have my branding injected. And so that's where I go into image edit, and I would actually show it like what that cereal looks like, and kind of, some images from the commercial, and then maybe plug in my iModels here too, the same way that I would work with create. I think of the create tab as like, I've got a new idea that I need to explore, or I want to pull one-offs. But the moment that I have a complex scene that has, 3 or 4 consecutive shots, I'm immediately going into this edit mode tab, and I'm going to utilize that so I can feed it more references to be able to have a more powerful source to pull from for my creation. So from here, I came in and I was like, all right, let's replace the cereal with Coyote Crunch. Great. That looks awesome. Really liked that one. And then I got a slightly different angle, and I thought this one was pretty cool too. They gave me some options to work with, but the kitchen was wrong. So like, it didn't have that green kitchen. I like the green kitchen better because that's what I was using. I plan on using this close-up shot as well. I wanted to be able to cut between this shot and then also utilize the second shot where she's actually talking to the coyote. And so it took me quite a few phases. I got the cereal in there, and then I went back and edited it again, and I added the cereal, and I changed the kitchen so it would match the kitchen from the first image so that I could continue telling that story. And then so I started thinking about it, and I was just like, hey, I really want that coyote to come out of that box. And so I played with one that like has real fur, and I think it's really cool, but it's maybe not exactly the same fox, even though I do think like aesthetically this is a very pleasing look for what I was able to get out of it with that fox. And so from there I was like, okay, let's make him stylistic like the box. And so he did that, but for some reason it added some like comic some dialogue to it for some reason. And then I told it to get rid of it and make him smaller, but it made like multiple of them. And so I was still not happy. And then finally I got it to spit it out, and I was like, all right, have him get out of the box and be on the table. Like, I wanted him to not be on the box anymore because he's out of the box on the table. And so this is the one that I was actually like really happy with. Then from there, I decided to bring the mom in so that she could talk about the cereal as well. And like I said, I didn't have the ability to inject the cereal from the get-go, or I would have, and just used image edit to create this. But I started out with this. I had a nice image. I really liked it. Same kind of process, couple different tries at that. And then finally I was trying to get it to match the kitchen, and it did, but it was like super vibrant. So I had to show it again and tell it, like, hey, the kitchen's still way too bright. And then finally, I got it to give me that exact same kitchen again. And then, but it's just so crazy because you can pop back and forth between something that's like live action and super realistic, and then something that's like crazy stylistic and mix it together. Like even if it's something that you're not, you know, super crazy experienced with. From there, I wanted to see what it would look like as like a grocery store display. So I made a couple of those. They were okay. I have some better ones further up that turned out a little bit better than that. Then I wanted to do like some Instagram, like social media style little bumpers with her and the Coyote. And I got some really nice results with that as well. And then for some reason, I had a couple that started putting things on them that felt like cigarette warnings at the bottom. But aside from that, you know, still really cool product renderings of Coyote Crunch, and just like shows, you know, how you can rapidly just iterate and go through different ideas and how you want to showcase that product or what it's going to look like as an end cap display. And then I did some Sidewalk Syndicate Coyote Crunch mashups to just kind of show what that would look like here. And, you know, I think those were, you know, some pretty cool results that came out of that too, even though I never really did anything with them. I just kind of made them. But let me pop back over here real quick.
Those kids definitely eat Coyote Crunch. The whole gang, they definitely eat it.
Yeah, they definitely eat the Coyote Crunch. So I got one more little live demo clip for you here, and then I think we're right about on time to take questions. So let me show you these final little clips, what I did here, because this is really an important part of the process for being able to generate these images. So for this one, like just to show you the difference, I created 2 examples. Like these are straight from Image Create. So I didn't show it what the cereal looks like, and it still did a pretty good job, but you can tell that's not my Coyote Crunch branding exactly, even though I told it to be 90s style and inject what I wanted it to. You can see that without me showing it, it's not going to get that branding exactly right, even though these are some pretty cool clips that I got straight out of Image Create. And this was literally just using 2 actor profiles, one for the Coyote and one for Bella, with a quote that's talking, or with a prompt that's basically talking about her chasing after the Coyote down a supermarket, a 90s commercial in like a supermarket. So in comparison to these, I also made them with Image Edit and included an example of my commercial, example of the cereal box with that exact same prompt. I changed nothing in the prompt at all. And so this is what I got from Nano Banana, and I actually liked it probably the best. I think it was the most consistent to what I had been creating. So I ended up using this to generate a video as well. But just to show you the alternative, this was the GPT-4 rendering of the store. I actually enjoyed the store and the color and the motion blur on all the cereal. But I think that the Coyote is a little bit, you know, definitely a little bit different in terms of the things that I had created so far. So like I said, when I made this, I didn't have GPT image yet to work with here. So you know, there's always new innovations and new tools, and you're going to constantly see your work improve and things that you make that you need to go back and you can make new additional changes to because of what you got. So from there, I fed this to Cdance. I actually have the prompt here, which I can plug in and show you real quick. Almost there, guys. So I just plug that in, and I'll just grab one of these images. For example, we'll grab that one. And basically, I was just creating a 7-second animation. And just to show you, like, everything doesn't have to be a 15-second animation. You can do things that are, you know, 5 seconds or 7 seconds or even 3 or 4 seconds if you just need a quick shot to cut between. You don't have to do crazy long things. You can totally add dialogue. You can do whatever you want. And then I would just fire that off to generate it, and I'll show you my results that I got earlier. So let me skip back.
Hey, give me back my Coyote Crunch!
Finders, keepers, breakfast seekers.
That's my spoonful, Furball!
Whoa, slippery flavor.
How hard is it to get that audio, Max?
Hey, give me back my Coyote
Very easy.
Finders, keepers, breakfast seekers.
That's my spoonful.
I'll explain it.
Whoa, slippery flavor.
Sorry, my headset died, so I couldn't tell I was not talking, or I couldn't hear myself anymore. I just add the dialogue directly to the prompt in Cdance. Like I literally just feed it to it, and if it's not doing a good job with keeping your audio and your voice samples the way that you want them to, provide an audio sample as reference. Like you can give it an audio voice sample for both the Coyote and Bella, and it would totally do that. And even if you've generated your first initial videos from like with AI, you have enough of a sample, you've got like 10 seconds of audio or something like that of that character talking, you can utilize even your AI voice to generate more voice that sounds like the initial voice that you'd already used. So sometimes you just need to help it out a little bit to help it do that. And so here was my other variant. Like this was I made a video out of the one from ChatGPT as well.
Hey, give me back my Coyote Crunch.
Finders, keepers, breakfast seekers.
My spoonful, furball.
Whoa, slippery flavor.
I thought this one I love the slide on the box. I think the slide on the box was really fun.
Hey, give me back my Coyote Crunch.
Finders, keepers, breakfast seekers.
My spoonful, furball.
Whoa, slippery flavor.
But I mean, it's such a fun tool. You can do so much with it. We actually got our other little video that we made earlier, so we might as well look at them before we move on real quick.
Yo, is that thing actually glowing? I told you this sidewalk was weird. Guys, I think it's a map. A treasure map or a curse map. Okay, nobody tells our mothers.
So he talked, like they double talked a little bit in that one, but overall pretty clean clip. We'll check out the other one as well.
Is that thing actually glowing? I told you this sidewalk was weird. Guys, I think it's a map. A treasure map or a curse map.
They're both double talking.
Okay, nobody tells our mother.
So sometimes you might have something happen like that, and that's where you got to get in there and work on your prompt a little bit and say, make sure Oliver's not talking whenever Nolan's supposed to be speaking or something like that. There's all kind of different things you can do to try to make your shots get a little bit better. And sometimes, you do have to really work with that. And if you can't get it, then that's where that 3D driven AI video may really be your friend. If you need to make sure it's exactly perfect, then, that's where, going ahead and pop up some mocap video, record the take that you want, apply it to your 3D character and let that drive your AI output. And that's a totally viable solution as well. But I think that's all I've really got for you guys today. I'm going to go on ahead and come back and turn off my screen share.
Also, just to add really quickly, obviously we're using all these techniques to not only kind of showcase the IP that are stories, that are shorts, that are certainly verticals and other things that people are very interested in producing with AI right now, but utilizing also these same techniques working with our clients for actor capture. And this is allowing us to deliver both product and also IP related content to our actual clientele. That's a big deal for everybody, because if you can figure out how to turn the AI sort of editing process into a business, then I think you're doing it right.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, I agree. There's so many commercial implications for this. I think that, and just the iterative process that Max kind of described. You always get directors that are, change this little thing, change that little thing, and now it's as easy as kind of just adjusting your prompt and running a few more iterations, keeping the characters consistent. You could never do this before, so it's just getting more and more simplified, and the process, I think, is becoming incredibly efficient. And it's only going to improve from here. So, yeah, we're looking pretty good. All right. Thanks so much for that, Max. That was an awesome demo. I know to everyone, Max looks like a ghost here, but
yeah,
he's a real person answering questions, I promise. He's not just some...
He is chained to that desk.
Yeah. It's because Max has like a 52-inch computer monitor right in front of him, so... All right, let's go to our Q&A anyways, guys. I mentioned at the beginning, if you have any questions, we'll answer those questions in the Q&A. So thanks for everyone for sticking with us. Yeah, first one we got is from Stu Mountjoy. Have any of the Reillusion staff dealt with major films or special effects or proof of concept for a series or movie? Have you dealt with Hollywood or Netflix when you've been involved?
I'm taking this one. Yeah. So I wasn't kidding when I said that Max has written cameras for James Gunn, for Suicide Squad. Certainly we tested things like Headshot on Suicide Squad for casting, everything coming down from the art department for digital wardrobe, everything else. And of course, this is, plugging into pipelines that, are utilizing a lot of VFX. So whether that's, coming all the way through the Unreal Engine pipeline or, getting sweetened in the post production pipeline, we've done this for the Russo brothers with Electric State. We've done visualization most of the time, getting our rigs through Character Creator or bringing that into a real time environment because the real um, major time and money saver for us on set as actual film professionals is being able to visualize in real time. And Real Illusion has always been the best real time engine for that in most cases. And even when we've had clients actually request other pipelines or workflows, we're still utilizing a lot of tools like Motion Live to data stream aggregate maybe two or three different mocap tools onto one character rig. So we've done a lot of different things in AAA. We did Lyle Lyle Crocodile. We most recently did our next one out's going to be Moana with a great wig on Dwayne Johnson. I'm just going to say it. It's beautiful hair. And then also we have another one coming out with a sentient robot called Ed that'll be out in the future. But yeah, a lot of these techniques are widely utilized with the Real Illusion ecosystem.
Yeah, we had some people in the chat talking earlier about, importing Blender models as well. I think James, you're involved in that. I mean, you don't
Sure.
have to just use, character creator characters. You can bring characters in from anywhere. One of the major benefits of Reillusion tools is that we try to make the pipeline with other tools as quick and efficient as possible. So we have all these auto setup tools, bring in a character, one click, bring in their motions, one click, retargeting to different rigs. All of these things are done by our team of engineers that make your workflow so much easier. I just see in the chat Anthony Lane, yeah, Daz
Daz,
characters.
absolutely.
We've been doing Daz for
Since
decades now.
Daz been
So
Daz.
You
yeah.
can use
Yeah,
anything.
absolutely. It's
Like
a Swiss Army knife.
I all the time, like I love to just go hit the community tab on the Meshy site and just grab some random objects and throw them in there and like try to tell a story with them. I had this crazy purple snake and this red cardinal in a haunted swamp the other day ago. Like you can do whatever you want.
Yeah.
Like
Absolutely.
really.
And
And
there's
certainly
a,
at a AAA level as well.
Yeah, and there's always the elephant in the room about using AI points. That's just the way things are right now. I've been watching YouTube news and documentaries about how I just watched one today actually about how a lot of engineers, a lot of companies now are going back to their engineers because they've been using too many AI points because they've just been too lazy to create their own work, right? So this is not some magic solution that's going to create everything for you. Like Max had the poses, we have those profiles available, those iModel profiles that he showed. You can create your own iModel profiles as well. So there's lots of work that you can do behind the scenes to save on tokens. There's so many ways you can do it. It's not just like, okay, here's 17 credits, 17 credits, 30 credits, yada, yada, yada. You can do so many things behind the scenes to save on those credits. So just be aware of that. It's really the work that you put into it. Don't expect, CDATs to do everything for you from like a one paragraph prompt. You saw Max's prompts were like Jane Austen novels almost, so yeah, just be aware. And prompting is I think we could have a webinar exclusively for prompting just because there's so many important things to learn about prompting, especially in AI. So yeah, that answers the first question anyways. Question from Russell Levitt. I have a challenge as well with using kids as one character for sure. Uh, and as myself at 12, and I foresee a lot of challenges. Maybe you're not 12 right now, but when you were 12, Russell, we'll see. And I foresee a lot of challenges using a model that will not censor any thoughts. Max, you were saying that Flux was definitely a bit more sensitive on the child rendering. Um, yeah, again, this is an industry in flux that's dealing with all kinds of things, just like the early internet. Remember, you could be on a a page about Dragon Ball Z one day, and then the next second you could be on what are some of those old sites like I won't say any of the sites. Just we'll keep this clean. But anyways, that's the way things were back in those days. And it's just, sometimes the technology moves faster than the censorship, so it'll be refined later on. Do you guys have any thoughts on that?
Um, I mean, I was like, we had tried generating images with kids before, and you could get them to work with some of the Chinese models when we were in open source earlier on. So I was a little surprised that Flux wouldn't let me render the kid models at first either. But Nano Banana Chat GPT, no problem. Or GPT image, no problem.
Hmm.
Those kick out those images that you need with the kids and keep the consistency really, really high. So, I mean, I think that's one reason I really had so much fun working with Sidewalk Syndicate is just because it was something early on that we weren't able to do, and being able to like all of a sudden pop out four kids playing roles like in Little Rascals or something was awesome.
Pop up for kids. Sounds like you're giving birth there, Max.
Yeah, it's as close as I'm getting, I think. So,
All right. DW asks, how long do AI points last? Meaning, is there an expiration? That's a good question. I don't think there's an expiration at all.
No expiration.
No.
Yeah, no, it's not milk. It definitely will not go bad on the shelf. So hold on to those, use them, and we try to point everybody in the direction to whatever's cost effective for their workflows. And that's why, exploring 3D and not throwing iClone out with the bathwater is definitely something that is empowering because you still get your cameras, you still get your character poses, things like that. And that's another thing that, Max definitely touched on is, just being able to establish those shots after you get that in 3D and having a world of different camera angles and lenses and lighting scenarios and all these things in a single click is really empowering. So yeah, you can do a whole lot with just, being able to kind of still leverage what you're doing in terms of your own or previous creation process.
Awesome. Yeah. And Marcus has a good follow-up question. In Kissing Booth, there are four boys and a girl. That makes five characters. What's the workaround if I need more than four characters?
probably generate two images or generate one image with four of them, and then try to add the character to that image with image edit.
Yeah, right now that might require some compositing. I think because that's the limitation is the four eye models right now, but that might improve in the future. Again, we just launched AI Studio, what, a couple months ago now, so this is the basic iteration of it. And if you followed iClone or Character Creator for years, we basically went from Second Life type models to photorealistic, in the duration of all the developments that we've done. So yeah, it can only get better from here.
For
But
sure.
yeah, Marcus, I'd probably max compositing maybe two shots together, you think, or maybe.
I don't think you have to compose. I mean, yeah, I mean, technically compositing, but you could just composite it with AI. Like
Hmm.
you could basically like if I had that image with the four boys standing around the like treasure they had found, and I wanted to add Bella to that shot, I
Hmm.
could just take that initial shot with all four of them and then go into image edit mode, and then add an eye model for Bella and say add Bella to the image. You
Hmm.
know, um,
Would that work in like interaction with the other models, like in terms of layers, like front of or behind?
Yeah, I think so. I don't see why it would have any problem. If you just explain where you want her, or even give it, you could even have a pose. Like you could have a pose example, like anything to help it
Hmm.
understand where you wanted her to be in that composition. But you don't like it's just particular. It doesn't work as well once you try to control more than four characters. I've seen Nano Banana do like five, like originally, but you lose more control. You have more chance that the faces are going to shift, things like that when you go beyond four.
Right on. Okay, cool. Let's go to the next question here. I was just copying and pasting something here for the next one. Lori's asking, how do you use characters you make in Character Creator? So the models that Max used were just basic dummy models. He was just using those for poses. But what the eye models do is the eye models basically transfer all the physical details. Those are just think of iModels as kind of like template characters, and you can apply them to any dummy model in your scene. The dummy models there were just for posing. Max, do you have any want to comment more on your workflow regarding that?
I mean, you're in the best situation actually if you already have a 3D character, because then you can just
Mhm.
make an actor profile and make an eye model of your own custom character in the wardrobe that you want them in, and make sure that you're showing off like facial expressions and particular features, even lighting. So the better, I mean, the better your eye model, the better your AI results are going to be. So if you already have your own character, you're 3 steps ahead. You just got to go in there and turn it into an eye model, and you'll be ready to rock and roll.
Absolutely.
Also, don't forget, it's still kind of the same functionality in terms of the way the software works. So you've got template 200 characters that, are there and available to you, like our cast of Sidewalk Syndicate. But when you bring in your CC characters, you literally can go into AI Studio, and down at the bottom it says create actor. And it also has a really nifty button that says edit in 3D. And what that'll do is that'll launch that into a dummy project inside of iClone. So it will open an iProject for you. And all you need to do is make sure that you click on that dummy character, and it'll be just a nondescript, human figure. Double click on that, making sure that that's active in the iClone viewport, because then when you have Character Creator open, all you need to do is double click on the character rig that you've already edited. And once you have that selected, you can hit the send to iClone button. I love telling my students this all the time because I make it sound like it's really overly complex, and it's a single
Mhm.
click solution. And that will send or swap and put your character rig that has been edited in Character Creator. This can be with bespoke props. This can be with many different morphs. This can be with ZBrush tools. This can be with all the edits and all of the things that come with utilizing that CC base. But that's just going to pop that over. And then my favorite thing about the process is then you just tell it create 3D asset. And what that'll do is that will automatically render the proper 14 angles that you need for your 4 face angles, your 4 face expressions, your 4 body poses, also cropped at the neckline, which makes it really easy for it to focus on the wardrobe that you've chosen.
Yeah, absolutely. It's like literally 2 clicks if you think about it. One on the toolbar and one in iClone. Yeah,
Yeah,
and you get your iModel right there. So
absolutely.
again, easy as pie. Okay, next one from Robert Berry. What's the minimum resolution to keep from splotchy AI renders? And when will we have 4K plus available? Minimum resolution from splotchy AI renders. I mean, Max, you've probably had the most
It's
experience.
It's mostly about your scene composition. If your characters are really far back in the scene and they don't have a lot of pixel data on their faces, then you're going to lose the eyes and things like that, the details in the face first.
Hmm.
I mean, even at a lower resolution, if you have like a super ultra up close render, you can get pretty high quality results even at like 720, without
Mhm.
much issue. But I like to take advantage of the larger renders at the image level whenever I can, because it's already a little bit of a compressed workflow compared to what you would see in traditional film right now. But that's just it's came a long ways in a year. And I would say the fact that we're already getting things up to 1080, and I know CDance is internally like already upresing some things to 4K in some other platforms out there right now. But I think those are advancements you'll see come to AI Studio as soon as it's applicable to the pipeline.
Just a
And
And
it'll
follow-up
just
certainly
keep getting
personal.
there.
1080.
Oh, I was gonna say a follow-up personal question to that, Max. Have you
Mhm.
messed around with like the depth of field, either generated by CDance or transferred over from iClone, and what's sort of the differences you've noticed there?
Initially, I would not get the best results whenever I would inject depth of field or in my base image. And so I found out that if I just turned off the depth of field and added it to the prompting,
Hmm.
that I would get better results that way than instead of trying to use the depth of field through the iClone camera.
Okay, good to know. Yeah.
I don't know if that's changed. That like I haven't really paid that much attention to it in that specific thing in the past couple of months, but it was something that I used to notice.
I was just gonna say if your background characters are sort of low res or Can't see their eyes. Just depth of field them out. Just
Like, yeah, like AI has no problem understanding depth of field. It
yeah.
just, it also kind of needs all that pixel density and as much information as you can possibly get it. And it has no problem, translating that depth of field on its own.
Right on. Okay. Next question from Paul Butler was basically the same as we talked about earlier, adding more than 4 characters. So Paul hopefully got that answer. And next one from Vincent Moran. What if I want to use a 3D creature made, let's say, in Blender as a mount in my story? Would I have to import it into iClone, into AI Studio as an asset like any other character? Yeah, I think we talked about that. Max, have you ever done the Blender to iClone to Dance workflow yourself?
Yeah, same thing. It's just a 3D asset,
Mhm.
I mean, you could bring it in, or if you wanted to be like real lazy with it, you could just pop a couple screenshots in Blender and mix it in your prompt, and use it as a reference. But if you're trying to really have that control, you might want to bring your 3D creature that you made into iClone so you can animate it and have that additional level of control because you have the ability to do so.
Yeah, and also just as an aside, with because I use Blender a bit more, we have Blender Data Link and Blender Auto Setup, where you can actually retarget your character to a Rigify rig from our traditional rig, and you can do the animation modifications, stretch and whatever in Blender, and then you can bring those back into iClone, which I've previously done. So the Blender iClone workflow, amazing workflow. We have an
That,
Go
amazing.
B.
Was that?
Go B.
Yeah, go B,
Go
right?
B
that
pipeline.
pipeline
Yeah.
that pipeline is incredible.
Yeah.
Like
Yeah.
I was used to the Unreal Live link, and it would take so long to send my characters over from to like
Mhm.
compile all the shaders. And
Yeah.
then when I switched over to the Blender workflow, and I was like getting my whole character over in like 5 seconds, I was like,
Yeah,
"What?
exactly.
This is ridiculous! How much
Yeah.
faster this is."
Yeah, and we have an amazing developer. I got to give credit to Victor Soup Day, who's helped us tremendously with that Blender Data Link plugin. So make sure you check out our Blender Auto Setup page. You can just even Google Blender Auto Setup or Blender Data Link, and it'll pop up all the information you need there. So yeah, I highly encourage checking out that workflow. Paul asked a good question that I've never encountered. What's the maximum text that the prompt allows? Uh,
Dance will take like a novel. Kling will
Yeah.
cut you off at some point. I think it's like maybe like 1,000 or 2,000 characters or something. I don't know. I ran into it in Kling, like by trying to put my Dance prompts into Kling. So
okay,
I know that some models do have a cap, but I haven't found it for Dance yet.
gotcha. All right. Gordon asks, Gordon Rydquist, how do you keep background consistent if it's AI generated to begin with, like the kids gathering around the glowing box? Keeping the background consistent. Yeah, that's something that we could maybe talk about a little bit.
I use image edit after the first image is locked in, and I tell it to utilize that same background or ensure that it's a realistic 3/4 cut, and then I will be critical of it. It is harder. Like if you have a CG scene, it's definitely much easier to ensure that those things are correct. Like we've been working on a small television show lately, a kid show, and it has all the 3D environments and all the 3D characters and assets, and it makes it so easy to guide that and to be able, when something doesn't give me exactly what I want, I can ensure that it's exactly what I want because I just go back and grab that 3D reference.
So if you have like the 3D, like if you're in a downtown scene, for example, having those 3D building models in the background is going to give you a lot more control than just having an image in your background.
Yeah, that or HDRIs or even creating like little production sheets that you generate with ChatGPT or something that has your multiple shot angles.
Hmm.
You can use lots of different things as elements to help influence your output and what you're going to get.
Yeah.
All right. Vincent asks an interesting question. He noticed in the sequence where the 4 kids are discovering the magical box, no one blinks. Um, can we ask the AI to redo the same thing with the kids' natural eye blinking?
Yeah, that would be a great thing to add to the prompt. And sometimes it could be that my prompt is so long, like there over prompting is a thing too.
Hmm.
Sometimes you don't need to give it all that information. And that's what I do. Like sometimes if I'm not getting what I want, that's like after about 2 or 3 iterations, that's what I'm going to ask for my LLM to restructure my prompt and simplify it and focus on specific aspects of it.
So you guys thinking of introducing a prompting science class at GSU?
It's already in the works. Yeah, we've got some interesting syllabus out there.
Hmm. Yeah, that'd be something I think would be really useful for a lot of people.
Yeah,
Yeah.
come on down to ATL. We'll enroll you tomorrow.
All right, yeah, we got a very interesting question that I don't really know the answer to. Can you copyright videos? How can you copyright videos if AI generates the videos? That's a legal thing.
Well, you'd probably need to speak to a lawyer, but my understanding on it is that you have to be able to prove your point of creation and what you made. Like, did you write the story? Did you create the initial concepts of what those characters are? Those things are gonna get very blurry over the next few years, I imagine. Um,
Yeah.
but I would say if you read the writing on the wall and look at basically like every major piece of software on earth right now and how it's expanding and evolving,
It's
um,
hard to keep track of. Yeah.
I
Yeah.
mean,
Oleg mentions in the chat you need proof of work, which I think would go a long way. I wouldn't be sure if it's foolproof for a bloodthirsty lawyer like Johnny Crocken or something like that. If you had him on your team, or I don't know,
you
but
know,
yeah, it's something that we're not really qualified to talk about, I think. Yeah. We'll have to get a lawyer in next time.
oh
That's a
boy.
different webinar.
Yeah. Now, let me just go to page 561 here and intersection. Yeah, wouldn't be the most lively webinar, but hey, probably have that in the future at some point.
Yeah,
Question from Jared Vigil here. Is it possible to create a horror short film using AI Studio?
for
Uh,
sure.
Horror. I know, James, you've experimented with some horror kind of themed stuff.
Sure. Yeah, there's definitely some things that it will do and will not do. You will get content blocked, but again, that's one of the kind of plus sides of AI Studio is having multiple models that you can test. So when I run into a wall, maybe at Dance, I might jump over to Cling and it give me exactly what I want. And playing around with different horror themes does get tricky. For the scary stuff, jump scares, these kinds of things, bad lighting, spooky sets, these things are very easy to get. For blood, guts, gore, people getting ripped limb from limb, these kinds of things, a little bit harder to accomplish with these tools. But you definitely can also accomplish some very interesting things by utilizing, again, that 3D to image workflow.
Hmm. Okay. Yeah, I haven't messed around with any horror stuff myself. So yeah, I wouldn't be able to comment on that, but I'm sure there would be some limitations. Like, I'm just kind of curious if, like, I was watching Indiana Jones the other day when they opened the Ark of the Covenant and the guy's face is melting and stuff like that. Would you think that would be possible?
I've
Yeah, like
I've done it
very
in
weird
open
things like that.
source, but
Yeah.
Yeah.
it probably would melt somebody's like in open source. I've had guts hanging out and all kind of stuff. Like,
Yeah.
Wow. All right. I'll have to do a
um,
Halloween themed AI Studio webinar in a couple of months here.
Yeah, here we'll circle back in October. And yes,
Yeah.
Georgia State does provide Real Illusion classes. You can come learn directly from Max and I there live. You can enroll in the spring or fall, and there are full 16-week courses around these tools.
Awesome. Okay, Russell again. With iterations, I'm assuming we are using credits. That's correct. There has been the challenge with credits in AI software is that it's not what you want. You still spend your credits. Any options on that? I think we kind of talked about that earlier, Russell. Just about the efficiency of using your credits and not relying too much on the AI to generate things. This is where I said earlier that, creating your scene to the max of your ability in iClone or Blender, and you can import Blender entire scenes into iClone as well, not just characters. Doing all that work and then leaving it up to your efficiency and prompts That's why we were discussing earlier on having a prompt science class, which I think will be an effective, uh, degree in the future.
For sure.
Yeah,
I since I've been teaching this, I work with a lot of students, and they usually aren't too excited about paying for things either.
yeah,
And in this world, you either typically pay with time or money. And
yeah.
I find my time a lot of times to be more valuable. So I like being able to quickly iterate, and in many cases, like it's just changed the way I work with everything. Like instead of a like, what can we do? Now the question is, what do you want to do? I don't have to look at something and say, oh, you can't do these crazy VFX because that's going to take all these big Houdini sims that you don't want to pay for, or anything like that to my client. Whereas now it's like I can allow them to be basically about as creative as they want to be with their ask, and it makes it so much easier for me to say yes. And I think that the trick to saving money is iterate at the image level. That's where you're going to save your money. Make sure that image is absolutely perfect. And you're going to have to blow some coin to get used to your video pacing, especially when you start injecting dialogue, because you got to learn about how much dialogue you can fit into a 10-second shot versus a 7-second shot versus the pacing of the action and what's taking place. And
Mhm.
the same lessons that will make you good at video have to be learned at image. And if you can't get what you want at the image level, then you're going to struggle at the video level at 10 times the credit. So the credit
Absolutely.
burn. So, make those mistakes on the image.
Credit burn is a real thing.
Yeah.
All right. Oleg asked me if I do over the beer Q&A in Calgary. Yes, I'm in Calgary, Alberta. I go between Calgary and Vancouver. So if you're in Calgary and you want to give me a shout, that's kai@religion.com. More than happy. We have a bunch of really good breweries here. So yeah, just sh give me a shout out and we can get that arranged. I can do a Q&A on beer too. I know a lot about that,
Ooh.
as does James, I know.
No, no, no.
Sounds, it sounds like a great tour that could end in karaoke.
Yeah.
You never
Does
know.
not
You never
happen.
We've
know.
all done karaoke together, and it was a gong show, I'll tell you that.
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah.
Okay, Vincent asks, is it possible to use a 3D model with different color textures, like blue, red, yellow, etc., and use the AI to texture the same 3D model with complex textures in the
For
rendered
sure.
version? Yeah.
Also, throw your UV maps in Comfy, I'm sorry, in Chat GPT and tell it to redo your UV maps. It's a great hack. I hate UV mapping, and I've lived and died in Photoshop for many, many years. I rarely am over there anymore unless I just have a very specific need where I'm like cleaning up images where it's made me and Max look 50 years older than we already do, which is pretty hard. But it will degrade your images. It will do these things. And so Photoshop still has a use, but absolutely. You can just basically very genuinely block and animate or not, or color code scenes, and then use that as part of your prompt structure and just tell it what you're trying to infer. And it will give you some really amazing results with minimal setup time.
Yeah, absolutely. UV mapping used to be the bane of most of our existences, I think. That along with
I
skin weighting, maybe.
I love UV mapping. That's like my secret to getting high quality textures in all my renders.
Well, you're a glutton for punishment, though, Max. So that's all
I
right.
live and
That's
live and
why I
die
keep them
by the UV
around.
maps.
All right. Russell has one more question. We're almost at the end of our questions here. Oh, yeah, we've got a few more. Let's see. Where is it here? Russell asked a lot of AI studio videos and webinars, but I'm wondering if there's some tutorials that would go into something more in depth in terms of the process from production design, cast, storyboard, and shot-by-shot creation, similar to the introduction here with Sidewalk Syndicate. Yeah, I think that was a really good kind of workflow that Max showed how he did the. I mean, you didn't even actually use the storyboard in the first place, but you just created it for the presentation of
Yeah.
it. Yeah, I think something like that, even for like a small like 10-second video just going from beginning to end. And with Howard next week, we're going to have a webinar that's going to get into more detail on July 16th, which is not next week. That's another week ahead. So I'm losing track of my days here. But yeah, we'll probably get into a bit more of the details on the step-by-step process. I think we did a pretty good summary here, but there's a lot of things beginners obviously may not be aware of. But yeah, we'll go into the next question anyways. We'll have
You're in for a real
tutorials and
treat
stuff
with
like that.
Howard too. He's great. You guys are gonna have an
Yeah.
awesome time.
Yeah,
And
Howard,
there's an FAQ available as well, so
yeah.
it'll knock out some of those easy questions for you.
Yeah, again, for those of you who weren't here earlier, Howard is the senior technical artist that really developed a lot of AI Studio. So he'll be the guy that can give you the key to the city of AI Studio, so to speak. Okay, so question from Oleg: can we specifically train entire room renders, looking at how much trouble it is to keep stable? Um,
Yes.
how many actors per scene can be used at maximum? That would be something for maybe you or Max, since you guys have gone more into depth.
Technically 4, but you can do more. You just have to. You're off the beaten path if you're doing that. You're going into no man's land, but it can be done. You can pull that off.
Yeah, you just have to be a creative cinematographer in that regard, where you might want to show more than one person in a scene. I know Stuck on 3D mentioned earlier, render in layers. These are all options. And absolutely something that you can explore. And if you have multiple people in a scene, I had one earlier where I have 3 people in a vehicle and 2 other people coming up. So it's definitely something that you can get through mostly Clean will let you kind of bend those rules and parameters in your prompt structure. So definitely start trying there.
Yeah, I mean,
Also, panos and HDRIs too. If you're having a problem getting that, you can feed it a whole HDRI of that environment.
oh yeah,
Not like as an HDRI, but just give it to it as like a PNG or something like that, and it can understand what that is.
Yeah, and contact sheets or rooms that are kind of defined from all angles, also as an image is a really good idea.
I want to show you something. Where's my drawings?
Max is going to get a fish and show you
guys. No, I'm going to show you. Like it's this simple. Like when you're making something, if you need to show it like what it looks like, I don't know if you can even see this, but like
there you go. Yeah, we got it.
Like sometimes I just draw a path, like literally on a piece of paper with a map of the room layout and give it to it.
Max, that was detailed. Did you get like AI to generate that for you? Like,
yes.
No, I did it with a marker and a piece of paper because it was 3 a.m. and I was too lazy to like make it with anything else.
Hey, the best ideas come from writing on like napkins, right? In a restaurant and stuff, right? Yeah. Okay, so the AI tools you mentioned, DW is asking you about the estimated cost. Is it a monthly or yearly cost? So at the beginning of the webinar, I kind of went over you have free iClone right now. So there's no cost to use iClone. The only limitation is you have 30 exports, and that's FBX exports for iClone. When it comes to AI Studio generations, you're looking at specific AI points, and that is really all up to you. Like we've talked a couple times about, time versus money, how much control and detail you want, how good you are at prompting. So, I mean, nothing comes without a cost, right? You want to learn Maya, for example, you're going to spend tens of thousands just kind of getting there to that point. But yeah, it's all in your workflow, whatever floats your boat in terms of the tools you know and the tools you like. I think there's not really much more to say about that. Russell's asking, what about letting mocap drive the output? I'm sure you guys have definitely done that, right?
Absolutely. Yeah, 1-to-1, especially with C-Dance. C-Dance will really respect your motion. So fight sequences, things like that, where it can get muddy. We work a lot with stunt people. We love having really dynamic motion, full speed, full impact. That really translates, and that especially if you have access to high action stunt people. And even if you don't, you can go get some cool video and actually translate that, and use machine learning to get that motion back out of it if it is framed properly. That does require that you have, some video from head to toe. That will help quite a bit. So you do have to have something that's framed, and you can't just have somebody kind of sitting there doing this unless you're only worried about upper torso. But yeah, wide variety of motion capture can be applied to your character rigs. And don't forget, that can be as simple as, your motion dummy mannequin inside of your template tab for your characters inside a character creator or iClone, or that can be a very, bespoke, custom, very cool character that you've developed with character creator, and then applied that mocap to. And then, once you have the motion, you can get cinematic, and you can use a variety of either the iClone film back options along with your lens packages, or you can allow AI Studio to handle that shot selection for you.
Yeah, absolutely. I actually did a webinar a few months ago, I think 2 or 3 months ago now, on video mocap as well, which is another option you have with iClone. And you can use the iClone motion editing tools to refine your motion capture. We have so many motion editing tools for that, and a plethora of tutorials that, go into detail on specifically refining your motion capture, like jitters or missing limbs that are out of the scene in video mocap and stuff. So check out those tutorials in our learning center. Tons of stuff to go through there.
Yeah, and if
But
you're a
that's
deep
opening.
level mocap nerd, you can also get all the way down to curve editing and down to those tangents and really get a hold of the motion at its core.
Yeah, curve editing. Yeah, it's definitely. It looks complicated when you first open the thing, but it's actually really simple and useful. All right. Anonymous asks, any update about Unreal 5.8 link update? I don't know too much about that, to be honest, Anonymous. I don't, the whole buzz around the office has been AI Studio that. So I know Unreal 5.8 was just recently released. And as always, we try and keep as updated as possible with the Unreal workflows. So it shouldn't be too far behind. Yeah, generally a month or two. Um, and of course, again, with every new Unreal update, 5.8, there's always new bugs that come out too. So a lot of people just stick with, they've been working on a project in Unreal like 4.8, for example, and they just kind of keep with that. If there's no new features that they don't need, then, why mess with what works? Okay, Mike Dale asks, with so many image versions you created, is there any way to take from the right history panel and place them somewhere else? For example, in a project folder in AI Studio, some sort of project asset store where you keep the stuff you want to use in the project. So I think he's kind of maybe talking, and Max, you're probably the best one to answer this because you have like thousands of iterations. Like, how do you kind of organize your different versions, and how do you choose which ones to use in new iterations?
So there's also like a big history thing where you can see all of your results and you can kind of navigate through everything you've created at once. But I know there's definitely been some talks about adding some features to possibly tighten that up, so you can categorize things in there a little bit in a little bit different way. But me personally, if I have results that I am happy with that I'm going to use, I typically have a separate folder outside of iClone that I'm organizing everything in, because I'm almost everything I touch goes through Topaz Lab at some point.
Gotcha. Yeah, I think, uh, getting started with a good organization methodology is key, because you can start working, so the next thing you know, you have 250 images and you're like, ah, crap, all over my desktop, where do I put this stuff? Always good practice, whatever industry you're in.
Oh yeah.
All right. Anonymous asks, from a commercial standpoint, is this type of generative workflow viable for production-ready 3D projects, given that visible AI artifacts still persist in many shots? Can clients realistically accept this level of quality, or is it something the industry just has to tolerate for now? I want to go first on this because I saw something hilarious the other day. I forget what airport it was. It was somewhere in the U.S. but they had made a huge like mural. I'm talking like a 20-foot by 10-foot mural on the side of some wall in an airport, and it was some of the worst AI generated stuff that I'd ever seen. Like you could like you know the counter, the ticket counters, the words were all scrambled. There's the letters weren't clear, and some of the people had like an extra arm or something. And they actually American Airlines actually approved this and put it up as a 20-foot by 10-foot mural in the airport. And this is legit. Um, I'm not saying that don't do that. Please do better than that. But I'm just saying like a large company um, will still just there you go. I don't know. You guys have any comments on that? I just thought it
I
was
mean,
hilarious.
you can fix as much as they're paying to fix.
Exactly. Yeah. Yeah. They might have gotten some dude, some like dude on his like 10-year-old on his computer that's just like prompt an
I mean,
airline.
there's going to be some artifacts in there now. The tools have gotten better and better. Like they're already becoming like questionably, much more minimal than they were 6 months ago in
Yeah.
terms of what you're seeing in your output. And yeah, you still get it, but you know, um, I mean, just think of how much effort has to go in every single shot whenever you only had CG to accomplish this.
Yeah. Well, we've come a long way from Will Smith eating spaghetti, that's for sure.
Yeah.
That's like the OG of AI generated video. Probably still find it somewhere. All right, we'll go to
I
Thomas.
mean, and it's not like we didn't make mistakes in making movies as well. Like, I mean, on Lao Lao Crocodile, the VR base stations that were tracking the camera were in the shot still. You know, um, they got Starbucks cups in Game of Thrones. Like, stuff happens on production. It is humans making these things for
Yeah,
now.
it's always funny. One of my favorites is they actually have in Arrested Development, one of my favorite shows, they open up a cupboard and there's like a coffee cup of, one of the production assistants or something in there,
Yeah.
and nobody really catches it, but
Always money in the banana stand,
yeah,
George Michael.
exactly.
Yeah.
Uh, all right, Thomas Kieswetter asks, I'm not good with German names. I used 3D to AI scene with 16 characters in a test. I did not use AI actors, just a prompt to make it photorealistic, and all my actors in the scene were created right. Oh, there's a success story right
Wow.
there. You got lucky.
Yeah, that's impressive.
So it can be done. There you go. Thomas is living proof. Randall asks, can renders be created with an alpha channel? That's a good question.
Yes. Yeah, you can actually get PNGs out, or at least transparent. And sometimes I've even done a lot of motion graphics where I've spent a lot of time previously in After Effects, not so much anymore. And yeah, prompting with telling it to give you specific transparent images or image sequences as possible.
I
Yeah.
mean, you can even go into image edit and tell it to take your image and create an alpha channel from your image that's like black and white that you could go back and feed it if you had to.
Yeah, exactly.
Or you could use something like SAM3 to
For
segment
sure.
it.
All right. Yeah, the only limit is your creativity. All right. We got Rod Jenkins up next with Flux Gym versions. How far back does AI Studio use? And can AI Studio work with Pinocchio?
It doesn't use that really anymore.
Mm-hmm.
So that's when we were training Laura's for it, and when we were working with Comfy UI, and we were piping in open source models. But now it's all cloud based right now. It's not a
Yeah.
locally driven, Comfy UI based model that you're running or anything like that. So you don't really have the reason to need those Laura's like that so much.
You could still technically do it though, right?
Not. It's just an older system. It's a different.
Yeah.
It's just a different. I'm not even going to say older. It's just a different system.
Mm-hmm.
It's a totally different infrastructure for how you work with AI.
Yeah, and a bit more complicated for beginners, I think, as well.
Yeah,
Um,
extremely.
yeah, we try and make AI Studio as user friendly as possible. And Anonymous asks, "What's the prompt you used for the storyboard?" Is it a complicated one?
Um, oh man, like I actually had all the images made already before I made the storyboard.
Yeah.
So I fed it a collage of all those images like that I had already made for that I, like basically the rendered results. I was like, oh, I want something that explains the story for the hardware store. But it doesn't have to have that. Like you can just ask it to generate storyboards. You can get in Chat GPT and ask it to make storyboards for you. Like almost any decent LLM right now can spit out storyboards.
Yeah, one of the coolest things I've done is not really storyboard related, but I was looking at this commercial property for like, making a small independent movie theater, like maybe 60 to 100 seats, and I basically gave it the floor plan of this commercial space, and I said, create me a theoretical like movie theater plan, like including bathrooms. How would I lay this out in the optimal way based on where the windows are and stuff like that? And it created this really cool, like something that would take, an interior designer or a drafter or an architect or whatever, days to create. It just created this amazing floor plan, including the seats. It knew where the air conditioning needed to come in based on, commercial regulations in the city of Vancouver, for example. It
Wow.
really input all these details, and I was blown away. This is like the second iteration that I tried, and it had all these things in there, and amazing. So yeah, that's just a success story from myself, unrelated to storyboards though.
Oh, that's great. I mean, that's the exact thought is like you're just creating assets that the model can utilize. That's all it really is. Whether it's a floor layout. Like, I mean, I originally got the idea to do the little hand drawn things because I saw it was like an open art AI thing where it was like somebody had drawn a pencil drawing over a mountain and then it created a flying shot of like a dragon flying through that path. And I was like, well, if you can do that, you can do anything.
Yeah,
you
sweet.
know so like keep your ears to the ground, pay attention to what you're seeing out there, even on like just social media, and little tips and tricks that other people are doing, because even if it's not your exact IP or you're not your exact story, there's solutions in there that are applicable to your AI workflows.
Yeah, I try and watch at least like a single YouTube video a day, just, related to different AI workflows, just to, see what's possible out there, because it is changing like weekly. So, keeping up to date on that stuff is essential these days. We'll go next to Andreas. He asks, does it also work in German or other languages? I've never tried German, but I would assume so.
I don't know.
Yeah.
Was ist das?
I know it works in Mandarin.
Buenos nachos. Oh, that's Spanish. Yeah, I guess the best way is to try. I don't really have an answer for that because, I mean, I've been too busy trying to do things in English, so it's
Yeah, I've never tried anything but English. I'm afraid if I put it in any other language, I wouldn't get it back out.
yeah, who knows what it would do. Yeah, just you'll have to try that yourself. So sorry, we can't really answer that. So Rod Jenkins asks, what about custom characters? Can you develop a LoRa and use that in AI Studio for custom characters?
You can basically load in the same images. So essentially, not necessarily the LoRa itself, but the images that you use to train the LoRa, what I would do is also use that same create actor sort of template that they have available to you in AI Studio. It does also have a load image option, so you don't have to use a 3D asset for that. So you could literally take the probably less images that it requires to train the LoRa and create the eye model with that.
Yeah. AI Studio does all the footwork for you in that regard.
Yeah.
All right, Philippe, from a commercial standpoint, okay, so I think we talked about this question earlier, Philippe. I think it was maybe skipped over. Can clients realistically accept this level of quality? And again, that really depends on the client, you know?
If they can't, that's where you got to
yeah.
get in Nuke or After Effects or something and actually do some VFX work.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, I mean, you're still editing this. This is still video at the end of the day. So, you're trimming some fat, usually off some shots that you might not use, or some things that might not give you the most desired result, but you might have a really good couple of beats or a couple of moments that you don't want to leave on the edit room floor. So yeah, I mean, you're still actually grinding out in a couple of other tools, but we are seeing in terms of industry facing work, I'm able to take the 20 years in animation as a professional and apply that and then make sure that I'm getting those shots before I take them into an editorial sort of project. So my clients see the best of the best. So yeah, don't just take what you get. Make sure that, if you're getting artifacts or doing things like that, that you're taking Max's advice and fighting that from the image level first, and then getting the best shots possible before you ever go into a revision process. Because revisions are different now, right? It's an iteration process, not a locked animation or locked project that you're going to go back in and make, non-linear edits to. So it's a
Mhm.
different world in that regard as well.
Right on. I got an interesting question from Anonymous. When you do 3D guided, do you animate the character's face and put the voice to them in the 3D viewport, or do you just type it all in the prompt?
You can do it either way.
In which way, like, do you think has been the better results for you, at least initially?
I mean, I like if I can get what I want straight out of the AI, then I'm probably not going to do the mocap. But if I can't, and it's something that's really serious that a director needs to be exactly, or like you're working with some high level actress and you need the performance to be one to one to their performance because they're judging whether you actually brought that out of that character, then
Hmm.
that's a different story than just willy nilly making shots,
I'm
you
curious, like,
know? And
what if you were like to, do the lip syncing and the facial expressions in iClone, bring those in, and then you wanted to adjust them using prompts. Have you ever tried that workflow?
I mean, you totally can. Like you could feed it as a video sample in one of
Hmm.
multiple ways as an element or directly as 3D guidance.
Can you have like say, make him smile bigger while he's saying this, and it would be a decent result? And you
Yeah.
know,
Oh, it can definitely inflect emotion, whether that be anger or sadness or you know. I mean, I think we're past the point where it's like people used to say like, "Oh, AI is so lifeless." I don't think that's we're not even talking about that so much anymore. It's like,
mhm,
"Oh, it messed up 3 frames of my 16, of my 15-second clip."
mhm,
Or, "Oh, it didn't do exactly what I wanted during 2 seconds out of my 15-second generation."
mhm.
And that
Gotcha.
it's so crazy because we never had that level of perfection or expectation out of CG alone, to be honest. Not unless you were absolutely like the top 0.01% of creators out there. Like, were
Hmm.
you able to even really hit that bar? But when all of a sudden when it does everything, it's not fast enough, and something that took you 2 weeks to attempt to try to pull off and still have 3 rounds of revisions on it from your traditional render pass. You know, like somehow we have no forgiveness for something that does it in 10 seconds.
Not only
Yeah.
that, but you can keep that human element in there. You can use voiceover, you can use your own audio, you can
Yeah.
use, your own music, your own sound effects. And to answer the question quickly and easily, you can totally just prompt it too. So you can prompt and give it your script and let that handle your dialogue. But if you want those characters to have consistent voices, you got to come to the table with audio, and that audio can still come from a good old microphone, or it can come from something like 11 Labs. It all depends on where you're getting your source.
Yeah, I'm a big fan of 11
Yeah.
Labs myself, so I can put
It's a
my
great
hat in
tool.
the ring for them. Yeah.
I mean,
Daniel,
I,
oh, sorry, go ahead.
oh, I was just saying, I think as the creator right now, it's really your job to do as much as you have to reach the bar that you want to hit, whether that be traditional AI or CG, live action, whatever.
Mhm. All right. We got a few more questions left. We'll probably just go to the end of the hour and then we'll cut it off. We got a lot of inquisitive people here. Um, so Daniel Amory mentions here, I wish you were able to get AI to generate a scene or image, then say, yes, I want to keep it, then spend the points because AI could screw it up and the points will get sucked away fast. Well, yeah, Daniel, I mean, that's basically exactly what you can do without getting the points sucked away fast. Get AI to generate that image first. That's, a super easy first step. So yeah, I'd recommend again checking out the either the previous webinars we've done on this or the one in a couple of weeks or the tutorials. It'll kind of show you ways to save on AI points and get that workflow that you're talking about. We'll go to the next one from Rod. What about voice generation? Can you flux gym audio characters and or voice actors? Yeah.
Yes.
Well, not Flux
Um,
Gym.
yeah.
Yeah.
You can, but
Well,
straight
not
in
with Flux, no.
iClone AI Studio. Straight in AI Studio. You don't have to. You don't
Yes.
have to have a third party service to do that anymore. It's like
Correct.
Yeah.
It's instead of spending 2 hours making that Laura or 20 minutes making a low resolution Laura, it's all right there, and it's instantly popped out within like a minute or two.
Yeah. It's all
Right.
embedded into AI Studio, so you don't need to. We've kind of aggregated all that stuff into AI Studio, just to kind of make it easier on people to be creative, you know.
Yeah, check out the talking avatar section. You have a couple of different options. You can import your own audio and have that converted, or you can have it select from a wide variety of male or female voices, and then also just prompt whatever your text and inflection is.
Right on. Cameron Hines asks, so you're saying use ChatGPT more and Photoshop less?
Oh yeah, are you kidding me?
Yeah.
Yeah, like yeah.
I still use both in almost every shot though. Like a lot of times,
Uh,
Chat GPT, upres it with Topaz, hit it with Photoshop, go in there and hit the little AI remove any crap that I want tool, and then replace any images that got destroyed by the AI with higher resolution images in their place. Like that's kind of been my workflow for slides and things like that lately.
I'll just say that you
But
can you can get a lot of AI points for the cost of a monthly subscription to Adobe Essentials. That's all I'll say.
also true. Also true. And if you give chat the $20 and you can use images, I mean, forget about it. You're going to be able to prompt a lot more than you can graphic design or edit in an image editor, unless you have a dire need for something like the clone stamp tool and it's very specific, and or you want to go make a lasso selection and it's very specific. Yeah, there's still use case, but I cannot tell you how much I don't do in Photoshop anymore, and I do with ChatGPT.
You do.
I do. I do very
Good to
well.
know. Everyone does. All right. We got actually the same question from two people asking for an explanation, the basics of ControlNet.
It's not really so much called that inside of this system, but basically you can use 3D pose or any image reference or any type of even video reference of an exact action, or motion. Those would all be your control net. I mean, and it'll follow it to the hair strand for the most part. I mean, you get a little wild, it might not, but for the most part, especially at the image level.
Yeah, exactly. It's kind of like the reference that keeps your iterations consistent. Marcus asks, if I render a shot in low resolution to save credits, and then when it's all good, if I reuse the same prompt but render at a higher resolution, will I get the same image or will AI change some aspects of the shot? So rendering the same thing in low versus high resolution.
So you can do it to save the credits, but I never try to save credits at the image level. I go as high resolution as I possibly can at the image level. I just don't mess with it. But let's say that was your strategy. Then what I would do for that is probably try to roll like a fixed seed maybe, or even on top of that, you could take the image that you really loved and then come back and add your eye model and edit mode and then go to a higher resolution and then use that eye model to guide that character to ensure that it brings that high resolution image back to it, and you don't get like grainy eyes and stuff like that.
Yeah, because the upscaling is a little less expensive in AI credits, right, than the new generation. So sometimes that works as well.
Yeah. I mean,
Okay.
I know people that swear by those 1280 images. Like they just roll at 720 and up-res everything. Me, I like the high resolution stuff. I just can't help it. I gotta have it. But
Max has terabytes and terabytes of space to mess with. Not that those require much space anyways. Okay, Olga asks, is it possible to export a character including body animation and facial animation from Maya to iClone and work with it in AI Studio? Yeah, absolutely it is, Olga. We talked a little bit about the Blender workflow. We also have a Maya auto setup as well. And not only does it automatically assign all your shaders and everything, but you can actually retarget it to the Maya Human IK rig, to our proprietary iClone rig, with a single click as well, just like with Blender, Rigify, and Unreal Engine, the mannequin as well. So Maya, Blender, and Unreal, we have really optimized workflow for those tools. And Cinema 4D is coming right up here. I'm not supposed to say that. I'm not sure, but it is. All right. Somebody probably heard that. Okay, Rainer, last question. If you have a well-developed iClone scene, what is the minimum the prompt should include to achieve a professional result?
mostly like enhancements that you want? Or like, are you trying to up the render quality? Do you want it to stay the exact same? Like, are you trying to build a consistent shot to a previous CG rendered sequence? Are you trying, like, what it's basically, your prompt should be what your goal is for that scene, and also emotional instruction, specific, reaffirming who your characters are, reaffirming the action that you want performed in that clip, things like
Yeah,
Also,
that.
things
it's kind
like,
of a loaded question. There's a number of
Yeah.
different,
yeah,
depending on exactly what you want.
but yeah, if you're going for something that's photorealistic, you might want to include ultra realistic. You can totally use real world cameras. So you could say Arri Alexa Mini and 28 millimeter lens or a 35 millimeter lens. You can really get specific, and you could even say a Cook lens or things like that. So the quality of what you can prompt is not limited to what's in your wallet. So can you prompt a $350,000 camera rig? Sure. Um, but again, Max is right, Kai's right. What you're trying to accomplish really dictates this. And so if you're going for a professional look, that can be, is it a studio look? Is it a photography look? Is it a commercial look? And certainly something like Coyote Crunch, if we were taking that to a client and saying, "Hey, we're gonna make this product," that might reach that level of professional advertisement. So it really depends on what you're trying to accomplish.
All right, we have one more room for one more question. I think Eric has a worthy question here. You offer consistency in the character, so why is sometimes the consistency is not maintained in the examples you presented? What's the
Might have
main
just
challenge there?
drifted a little bit.
Sorry, what?
Might have just drifted a little bit.
Yeah,
I mean, and also a lot of the stuff you're looking at is like over 3 months old. I made this stuff 3 months ago.
yeah.
So
And there's also like different prompts too.
there's new tools. Like I said, C-Dances came out, didn't have a GPT image. And even, I don't care if you got the best image generator on earth, you're going to have variance. You're going to have minor fluctuation. If you use the exact last frame to generate your next clip, you're going to see a little swim in color or framing shift. Like, even if it's very minor, it's very difficult to do that seamlessly. That's what I would say.
Absolutely, yeah. But I mean, like you said, even 3 months ago to what you can produce this week, there's just been an amazing increase in quality and consistency as well. So it's only getting better. You'll always experience a little bit of drift,
It
but
might have been 2 months ago. I might have been over exaggerating a little bit.
okay, 2 months ago.
But yeah,
60 days.
like, we build IP all the time, and these, like, I mean, I don't know if it was Final Cut and I was gonna take it to air or launch my pilot of Sidewalk Syndicate, I'd probably go through and refine any shots I had an issue with.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, absolutely. Definitely dealing with clients that have notes, right? Then they're gonna have their say of what is available, what's not, what is consistent, what's not. And you're certainly still gonna have those pain points. So, you have to be able to be flexible with these tools, and be prepared to go back and kind of lick your wounds when you get a pretty harsh critique on some of these things. It's still accomplishing more than you could, faster than you could, probably cheaper than you could, than ever before. And so we're pretty optimistic about just the process.
Yeah, it's an industry in flux, or flux too. No pun intended. Anyways, all right. I think we'll end it off there, guys. Thank you so much both for sticking around for our long Q&A here. Thank you so much, everyone, from attending wherever you are in the world. I believe for those of us who missed the World Cup, I think US crash and burn. So sorry, buddies. your,
Yeah,
your star player didn't get you much there.
red card didn't help.
Uh, all
Dang
right.
it.
So yeah, love to have you guys along. Make sure you check your email for the 500 AI points, the 10% discount on the content store for the feedback you give us. Max, James, anything you want to say to end off here?
Get in
Yeah,
there,
just
burn those credits.
yeah, spend them, explore, create cool things. Be sure to check us out. You can always find us at, again, www.actorcapture.com. If you would like to see some of our professional work, our demo reels are on there. Things like Ninja Turtles, robots, all kinds of crazy crocodiles. Go check it out. And if you're interested about us as educators and want to find more academically about what we do, you can find us at cmii.gsu.edu. So you can check out kind of what we got going on there for the Real Illusion Official Training Center. And if you are in Atlanta, you can always come on down and see for yourself.
Yeah, and then you can always check out the GSU story on our Learning Center from the main page as well. All kinds of links there to show all the stuff that, James and Max are, teaching their students. I've met a lot of them. I've actually gone down there to see Atlanta, probably gained about 10 pounds from waffles and stuff like that and fried chicken, but it's worth it.
Yes, sir.
All right, guys. We'll sign off then. See everyone later. Thanks so much for attending and see you in a couple weeks. Take care,
Bye.
guys.
See you guys.
All right.
Thank you.